I know it's a different topic and a different video than normal, but I felt like speaking my mind today. The Noxian invasion had a huge build-up. It has been teased across many different stories and media, and now it has finally started. And it is already underwhelming. There's nothing about it except for one story. I didn't even realize that it had already started for so long, because the only way to notice is reading this story, which isn't particularly interesting and so long. So it's already pretty boring. At least the event is supposed to be big. Riot said, the next event will be experimenting with different things for you to interact with individually as a player. It is one of our biggest events in the year. This suggests to me that the player can somehow decide who will win the war between Noxus and Ionia. And that worries me. Because it is my experience that most people see Ionia as better, cooler or more interesting than Noxus. But I think it would be bad for the lore if Ionia wins. Repetitions are not good for a story, and the lore would be stuck in the same place it has been until now. I don't want to say that the lore is bad now, or that it would be bad if Ionia wins, but I see so much more potential if Noxus should win. Potential to shake things up in the lore, which is normally extremely stale, with its unrelated stories that don't build upon each other and don't influence each other. And while that has been a bit better in the last few years, the lore is still mostly these unrelated stories, which robs them a little bit of purpose and consequence. In general, I find the events in League of Legends extremely disappointing in the recent years. There has been no new game mode since Odyssey, although everyone liked that game mode. Instead, there's always the same thing. A new orb that is exactly like every orb before, and a new capsule or an alternative to a capsule that is exactly the same as all capsules before. Then a short story and that's it. Why is there not a single event that is a little more spectacular, that attracts attention, that even people who don't want to spend real money on the game can interact with? How about, for example, a map of Ionia, on which you can see the progress of the invasion live, and which, depending on the position of the front, gives missions with which you can either support or slow down the invasion. And if the front reaches certain special locations like the Placidium, the Kinko Monastery, etc., there are small mini-events with extra missions that can be fulfilled by all players from the region who have chosen the same side. Why not have some cool cinematics? Not only for this event, but also the events from alternative universes, such as the Pulsefire or Darksday event this year. I personally don't particularly like the skins. Many like them, but I don't, except Timo. But I still have a slight hope that they will have some added value for the lore in some form, other than just portraying Ionian legends. But I don't think so. I'm not only a little disappointed that with Yone, not only both champions of this event, but including Set, the last 3 champions will be Ionian. The only question is why? Why do you release an Ionian champion before an event with 2 Ionian champions? Why did you have to come up with Lillia out of nowhere, which has never been mentioned anywhere and has no connection to anything? Why does Yone have to be the other new champion? For me, that embodies so much wasted potential. You could have brought a cool Noxian champion who equalizes the chances between Noxus and Ionia, which was already teased in the realms of Runeterra. There were also enough Noxians who would have offered themselves very well, who appeared in short stories and who would have fit perfectly. But no, just Yone instead. And yes, it can of course be that he is somehow bound in the lore in a cool way, and yes, there is a chance that his gameplay, even though he is the brother of Yasuo, does not suck. Side note, if he is Yasuo's brother, there is no explanation why he shouldn't be able to control wind and some tornadoes or walls of wind, which in my opinion is the worst designed spell in the game. But even if all is great, I still don't see why you have to release 3 Ionian champions, one after the other, when you already have a whole skin line based on Ionia. For me, it is fact that the Spirit Blossom event already started more than disappointing, and I don't think it will get any better. And also that I find the 2 new champions absolutely disappointing and uninteresting from a lore perspective. I know the video was less of a why I don't like Yone, but more of a what bothers me about League of Legends. But sometimes it's just good to get a little upset. Of course I see that everything I have said here could be wrong. Maybe Yone will have interesting lore. Maybe the event will be good. Maybe the Noxian invasion will be resolved in a big event. And then maybe I also like Yone. But if I look at the last few years, I don't think so. Riot often disappointed me, especially with the events. Whenever they had the opportunity to do something cool and new, they rather copy the old event 1-to-1 and just quickly rename the orbs. So if you use what we have recently experienced in LoL, the lore of Yone will be rather boring, the event will be just like all events in recent years, with a pass, an orb and a capsule, all of which do exactly what they did in the last event. Then the Noxian invasion is mentioned with a small message in the client, and then resolved with a short story. And then Yone becomes a badly designed champion who has to be nerfed for the next 5 patches. And of course I don't want that, but I think it will happen, and that would be a shame.